Summerveld is filling up with out-of-province horses as trainers gear up their strings for champion season. We caught up with Justin Snaith to find out his plans over the next 3 months. Justin, it's lovely to have you in KZN. When did your string get up from the Cape?
Well, look here, they give us a date that we're not allowed to come before, so that's normally the 23rd of April, I think it is. So I arrived on the 23rd, so that's when we're allowed to come. And yeah, I travelled up well. Funny enough, the horses that have been here before, like Oh Susanna, Snow Dance, Do It Again, it was just easy for them, you know. But horses that have been here for the first time, I brought a couple of fit horses this time. They're a little bit fiery, and they haven't quite settled in yet.
How long is that trip from the Cape?
Oh, it's longer. It's a 22-hour trip, let's say, with a stop off. We stop off either in Colesberg or the Free State somewhere, just to give them time to recover, and then back on the float, and then we arrive here. But it's a lot longer going home, unfortunately, nowadays with African horse sickness and protocols, and it's becoming ridiculous, to be honest. Going home is literally a month for us to get from Durban to Cape Town. We end up taking a month of these horses' careers to sit in a quarantine somewhere in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and it's a big concern for me. So it's a month I don't sleep worrying about my horses.
Are there any side effects that they suffer from standing in a float for that length of time?
One thing is very problematic for horses is that they cannot, we say, puke. They can't puke, and so whatever festers inside of them is a major problem. It has to get out some way, and if it doesn't get out quick enough, it can cause major concern, travel sickness and things like that, and sometimes those are fatal. So we take huge precautions. They're medicated correctly and looked after like they should be. They're superstars, and they're treated accordingly.
How many horses have you brought up? And have you brought up any youngsters in addition to those horses you're going to campaign in the feature races?
Yes, we sit down with we have a discussion, a team discussion, if you want to call it. And the 2-year-olds are always off the list. So I get there and I see there's no 2-year-olds on the list, and I say, hey, boys, put the 2-year-olds back on. So this year I've managed to win the argument, and I have quite a few that are here. The one hasn't quite settled in. The other 2-year-olds have been really good. I'm hoping to contest for the first time. I wouldn't say the first time I had given me the green light as a 2-year-old, but I don't consistently do it. So I've handpicked this year some of the 2-year-olds I think could contest the big races, so it'll be interesting. They'll be coming out. I think the first one will be probably Scottsville on the 21st, I think it is, so looking forward to that.
How many horses have you brought up?
I've got 25 and a broad bunch from sprinters, which I thought personally I failed last year. I thought I was hopeless. I couldn't have trained my sprinters worse if I tried. So I'm really going out on a limb this year to see if I can just get into a routine of competing at, like, let's say Scottsville, that sprint day. It's a day that I just, although I have won the sprint race a few times, consistently I just don't seem to get it right. I find my horses go unsound on me, whether it's their backs or things like that. So a lot of emphasis this season will be on trying to get some sprinters into those big races. And then obviously at the same time, try win the Vodacom Durban July over 2,200, and then to try keep them going to Gold Cup Day. So there's a lot at stake.
Wonderful to have a horse like Do It Again appear at 14th on the Longines World Best Racehorse Rankings.
Yeah, and surprising by some way, we're not the highest rated horse in South Africa, which blows my mind. But anyway, yes, I'm not too worried about that, but I'm very proud to be part of this horse's career. He was very unlucky in the Met. I thought he was extremely unlucky. It's just the way the race panned out. It couldn't have gone worse. If I had to do a multiple questionnaire and have 5 things, he got 5 wrong. I'm hoping that he can rectify that and show how good he really is. So as I said, no one's fault. It's just that's racing. You can't predict it. So he's really settled in here well. He loves Natal, and I think we will be seeing him, if all goes well, he will be contesting the Vodacom Durban July this year.
Well, that's exciting, because I know you initially said that perhaps he would give that a miss in favour of some of the other races.
You would look at the thing is that all the horses are badly weighted that are normally competing against him. So if we're carrying 60, so well they might Rainbow Bridge might carry 59.5. So there's not a big difference. So as I said, the horses that he's competing against, we all seem to be in the same boat. We have a few horses that will be slung in, but I just get that feeling that even the 3-year-olds, I think the 3-year-olds are going to battle. I know they rate the 3-year-olds in Joburg, but they're going to have to be that good to beat these 4-year-olds.
Your beautiful filly, Oh Susanna, looks amazing when I see her here today. What are you wanting to do with her over the winter season?
Look, she's a very difficult horse to sort of program because obviously she's rated at 120 plus. So there's no other fillies rated 120 plus. So you just got to pick your races carefully. I've chosen the Empress Club Stakes in Joburg because I think she's the right type of filly. She's tough as nails and was extremely unfortunate in the Met. She got cut across her hind legs there. She could not walk the next day. I had to phone Gaynor immediately and say, Gaynor, you know, and then the vet to say that there's a lot of damage done to her hind legs. So we got through that quickly. Fortunately, the vets were there immediately. I just think this is the right type of race, and you know, it's associated to the royal family. We're just very happy to take part in it. It's going to be extremely hard, but you know, we're there for the challenge.
Will she come back down to KZN straight after?
Yes, as I said, with the travelling, it's all very careful. We've got, you know, getting through Moy River at the moment's a bit of a handful with it. You know, they you know, throwing stones as trucks and that, so I can't take that risk. We're going to be very, very careful on how we do it. As I said, she's probably the most valuable horse in South African racing at the moment, and but at the same time, she's got a race, and just so looking forward to seeing her on the high felt.
Now, Snow Dance was sensational over the Cape Summer season as a 3-year-old. Came to KZN last year. You were transparent. You said she didn't settle that well. In anyone else's books, her performances were still standout. But are you going to try something different with her this year?
You know, she was a bit disappointing in her last start on Sun Met Day. She went to the front, she eased up the pace, made it a very slow run race.
Down the far side, it's Snow Dance in the red cap has gone up to look for the lead.
And didn't quite quick in the way we hoped.
Centre along the inside, trying to come back for more, but it's Clouds and Foul with the advantage. Front and centre is rallying gamely.
But in saying that, the Lamarance Queen's Plate took a lot out of it. That's the only thing. When you take these fillies and run up against the best colts in the country, they can win, yes, but it takes a lot out of them. I've been down this road with a lot of top fillies, and unfortunately that was her season sort of dampened. If you remember, the Lamarance Queen's Plate was a tough race. It was touted the race of the century. It just took quite a bit out of her. So I've got her back. She's put on condition. I'm very, very happy where she is. And as I said, this is a big challenge for me with getting her to the South African Filly Sprint. And then after that we can decide. So her whole mission is there will be a barrier trial, I think on the 21st of April, a barrier trial. She'll go into that as a prep for the South African Filly Sprint, so she gets to see Scottsville, and I think she'll enjoy it. She's got all the pace in the world. She's a tough filly, and it'll be very interesting. You know, it heightens that big race day. It's going to be, you know, a filly like Snow Dance in the sprint, and you have all the Joburg boys down as well. It's going to be interesting.
Made to Conquer is so courageous and brave. He doesn't know how to run a bad race. What are you aiming him at this season?
Look, he's doing well. He's just that gutsy all-rounder. So he'll go in early in the season. I'll probably put him in at Scottsville in a 1750 there, which is short of his best. But it's just a race just to sharpen him up and then take it from there. Last year he came up with a low rating. This year he for running second in the Vodacom Durban July, you get quite a penalty. So he's got to carry that. But you know, his game, and you never know, you might see him back into some of the big races. So he's really well. So all going good. I'm quite surprised. A lot of people haven't asked me too much questions about my aim at the Vodacom Durban July, so I'll put it on the line now. Thank you. It's very simple. So Do It Again will always be the main horse, in that he'll carry the biggest weight. But he's the best of the bunch. And then obviously you've got Made to Conquer, who needs a little bit of luck, maybe the draw and the weights and how he'll come in. But if he gets all that his own way, then certainly he's a horse that I think could be in the money again. But the two dark horses for me for the Vodacom Durban July, hands down, are, as usual, like I brought African Night Sky up the 1 year, is a horse called Double Mint. He ran 6th in the Sun Met, and the whole thing is that if you run 6, you get no penalties. It's a very, very big thing. 5th is massive penalties. So if you run 1st to 4th, 5th in the Sun Met, you get heavily penalised, like you would run in the Vodacom July. So Double Mint is that lucky horse that never got the penalties. He comes into the Vodacom Durban July as one of the biggest dangers. Then you've got Magnificent 7, who comes in with just lots of good form. I mean, he just doesn't know how to lose. He's an improving horse. He'll get the 2-2. He's proven it. He won the reserve stays in Cape Town.
It's Magnificent 7 that puts his head in front. Dynasty's Blossom is trying to catch him on the inside. Magnificent 7, Dynasty's Blossom. Magnificent 7 with his head in front. Magnificent 7 from Dynasty's Blossom.
He's a horse that will get all the bits of the 2-2. I think my horses in the Vodacom Durban July, I think the betting, get on now while you can at some of the prices, because they're not going to stay like that.
Well, thanks for that. Now, talking of your sprinters, Casimir just seems to be getting better and better.
Like we had, I said, he came up here as a 3-year-old. He's got a beautiful pedigree. He's a lovely individual. He had a lovely temperament. And it all went pear-shaped here. He all of a sudden became coltish. He was not settling on the tracks. So I took the Durban season as a time to geld him and get him to settle. He went back to Cape Town. He was a different horse. I've brought him up this year. He is only here for one race, and I think it's on Gold Cup Day, the Mercury Sprint. So if I can find something in the interim that he can have a blow into the Mercury Sprint, that's the only time we'll see him out in the winter.
Justin, we've spoken about several of your bigger runners. Are there any other horses that punters or fans should look out for at this stage? We're going to be chatting to you over the season, but are there any others?
I think there's a horse that's going to be an interesting one here, is a horse called Silver Maple. He ran second to Rainbow Bridge, giving him getting a lot of weight from him though, but he's a horse that could be a little bit of a dark horse for the season.
Silver Maple hanging tough, Silver Bullet lunging down towards the inside, Silver Maple lost just long enough.
We're going to take him back to the sprinting distance. He'll have a look at Scottsville. I think it's also that 21st, 28th is the day that I've earmarked to fire up my horses and be ready for. So I think that's when you're going to see the best of mine. Will be the 21st, 28th at Scottsville, and he'll be out on that day as well. And a horse that I think in the poinsettia, which will take a lot of beating, is a filly called Juniper Spring, Snow Dance assisted. So it's going to be very interesting. She gets no penalty. She gets a 3-year-old allowance. She comes in, I think, 52.5, and she's a filly that can run. I've kept her out all these early features. I think she's a filly you've got to follow.
In behind that, Evelina, tight behind that for minor money on the inside.
Justin, it's wonderful to have you here for the winter, and lovely to see Charles.
Yeah, no, look, it's been good so far. It's been, the weather has been a nightmare. It's 30 degrees one day, and the next day it's storming. So as soon as it gets to some normality, we can relax.
One last question. You have had a couple of runners at Greyville. How are you finding conditions there?
I think the course is fantastic. When a few years ago there was all the hoo-ha about the grass, and a lot of racing went on to the poly. And I think, let's say July Day, 4 of the 12 races are on the poly, which for me is a little bit disappointing because you've got the grass right. The grass at Greyville at the moment the guy's done a phenomenal job, and Scottsville. I mean, the tracks are looking good. We're going to have a big year's racing this year, so looking forward to it. Joburg boys, start warming up. Season's coming.